Welcome to the Centaur Podcast. I'm Cameron Adibi, and together we will explore the fascinating world of horse-human communication and the extraordinary connections they develop between our species. Join me as we delve into the unique ways humans and horses connect and understand each other. Through discussions with true innovators, we uncover the subtle cues, bonding techniques, and emotional connections that enrich our relationships with these remarkable animals. Whether you are a seasoned equestrian or simply curious about the language of horses, there's something here for everyone. On this podcast, I get to interview horsemen and horsewomen who truly practice what they preach. Diane Delano is one of them. She is the founder of the Wild Horse Rescue Center in Webster, Florida. They are dedicated to the preservation of America's wild horses. They rescue, rehabilitate, and find new homes for wild horses, burros, and other vulnerable animals. The 44-acre ranch provides a home to almost 50 Mustang horses that were once roaming freely somewhere in the United States. In 2014, they purchased a larger property so they can expand their mission to rescue even more animals in need. I hope you enjoy this. Sit back and enjoy the show. We're going to jump right in. So you've been the Wild Horse Rescue facility that you have. You've been doing this for a number of years, but I have to start out. What attracted you to the Mustangs? Go ahead, please.
In 1975, I saw my first Mustang. I had a horse at a boarding barn, which was $10 a month to board, by the way, and $4 to get their feet done back then in 1975. And a Mustang came in briefly for about 3 or 4 months, and it was tame. And I just fell in love with that idea. So ever since the 70s, I wanted to get wild horses. And I did not get my first wild horse until I think I was about 28, 29 years old when I finally got my very own wild horse. And that was 34 years ago. So I have continued. At first, I just started adopting and I fell in love with working with this wild animal and gaining its trust. And then as I volunteered for the Bureau of Land Management and I went to all the adoptions, I started picking up horses for them that was within the state of Florida. I became a volunteer compliance officer in 98. I was one of 20 people in the United States, so I would help volunteer-wise the Bureau of Land Management with their horses. And I decided to become a rescue. 2000, I took in my first seriously traumatized Mustang that I actually took her all the way to the Black Hills in South Dakota. I returned her to her freedom at a sanctuary. And I created a wild horse rescue in 2007, became a nonprofit. And by 2012, I became an international program because I work with wild horses. So we are a international destination for people to come, stay at the ranch, stay a week, stay 3 months, volunteer and help out with the chores, with the animals. If you stay long enough, you really get to see a big difference. If you stay a week or two, it's not magic. Gentling and rehab takes months on a lot of animals.
Okay, I have to ask, since you mentioned South Dakota, did you take them up to Karen Sussman's organization?
Nope, I took him to the Black Hills in South Dakota, Dayton Heights.
Okay, there's another
Wild Horse Sanctuary.
There's another one. Okay, there's a woman there I talked to. It's not the International Protection of International Society Protection of Mustangs and Burros. No, okay.
Nope, but I have their literature from like back in. I have kept. Okay, some people would say it's hoarding. It's not. I have a museum right over here. I have stuff from the 80s, the 90s, 2000s about wild horses. I have 4 photo albums that you can flip through of articles from like Western Horsemen, newspapers, different stuff like that. I've been in the newspapers for 30 years with articles as well. And so I've been saving all sorts of wild horse information and stuff. I didn't get to meet Karen. I've never met her. I listened to your podcast.
Yeah.
I knew about them because they're the original
Wild
Horse
Annie
place.
Yeah, Wild Horse Annie.
Wild Horse Annie.
She started.
I have a cabinet in here with Wild Horse Annie's books And I have one of her photographs that was used in the congressional hearing in 1971. Peggy Hoyt's father was part of the Humane Society of America. He was gifted that because they helped with passing the law as well with Wild Horse Anti Act. And I have that beautiful photo in there of a rearing up Mustang. Sadly, he was caught. So that poor horse ended up being like many, many, many horses went to slaughter back when there was no regulations.
Yeah, this is I'm happy you're keeping a record because this is such an important topic, and I'm new to the game. But what there were over 2 million horses free roaming at one time, and now we're down to about 40,000 free
Yeah.
roaming. And so what you're doing is very important, and also what you're doing. Now, I didn't realize you did the compliance for the BLM, so you got to see a lot then.
Oh, I did.
So I have to
The
ask, yeah,
Bureau
yeah, go ahead.
has changed a lot over the years. I mean, I've been involved with them. Um, from my very first adoption, I started volunteering. I just loved the horses and I helped out. And then, like I said, the volunteer compliance officers, we were eyes for the Bureau. So they were, our office is out of Mississippi.
Mm.
Jackson, Mississippi is who's the eastern southeast field office. So we'd have horses here in Florida that they couldn't come and see. So they would call me up, they'd send me paperwork and ask me to go do compliance checks. And and then if the horse was not in good shape or, an issue, they would have me pick it up, bring it to my center, and then they'd either come down and get it, or I'd bring it to an adoption, or I'd get someone to readopt it out. So I did that for many years with the Bureau.
Okay, so this is the precursor of your current then your wild horse rescues.
Yes.
So that
Yep.
okay, I didn't know that. All right, that is very interesting. All right, so I had I've got to work not with mustangs but with rescues now. But
Hmm.
you and I saw some photos. So you have really rehabilitated some of these horses.
Oh, we have
Uh,
some
right,
beautiful horses
you
here.
got some great stories, but this is I think it's so amazing about horses. But I want to ask you, I mean, some of these horses should just give up when you see them. What keeps them? I mean, what is that you think, and that keeps them willing to
Well,
keep going and trying when they've been at the worst possible?
Well, it's a lot of them have been scared to death. I mean, seriously, and just gave up, especially when neglect is added in there. No food. A lot of the ones that I have a picture board in there that you'll see, they have nothing in their eyes. It's just like they've been imprisoned. And then, of course, they've been treated badly, no food, not proper care, scared to death. I've had horses kept in filthy, filthy pens for like 6 months in a small pen full of their own feces, wet, having skin issues, feet issues. Um, a lot of them can bounce back. I look at it like this. I had 3 Mustangs come in one time from the same abuser. Same person did the same thing to all three. They were 2-year-olds, so they were young horses. They were literally almost starved to death. One of them couldn't even get up. It took 7 people to get her up. So we named her Hope because we hoped she made it. And she didn't care what you did. Touch me, I don't care. She had no fight or flight left in her. So the next one was Faith. Faith bounced back. She was human friendly, gained her weight, psychologically easy to get along with, saddle trained, became a riding horse, still is a riding horse. And then there was Promise. And I promised her that she would never be abused again. And Promise took about a year. She was aggressive. She was mad. She was non trusting. She didn't believe it. And then she became a riding horse as well. But it took a lot longer to negotiate with her. So I parallel that with going on a roller coaster. I'm not a big fan of rides, but I have been on roller coasters and I have been on rides. And that would be like 3 people going on a ride together. Hope would be like, oh my God, I'm going to die, just sick. Um, Faith would be like, woohoo, let's go again. And promise would be like me. I am going to punch whoever is running this because I asked and asked and screamed for you to stop.
Mm.
So they can all experience the exact same thing, and all three can come through it with a different view of how it affected them.
Well said. Yeah, each horse has its own personality, and you took the time to really crack that shell that they were shut down, and so this is like so amazing, right? That this person was allowed to have more horses after already. So you get horse. Where do you get you get your horses from a number of different places? I take it. Where do the horses
Well,
come?
a lot of them are owner surrendered. On those three that I just spoke about, that's back in '07, and I was still helping as a volunteer compliance officer for the Bureau of Land Management. So they had gotten a call from Animal Services in Hudson, which is by Tampa. And since the horses were untitled, they still belong to the Bureau of Land Management. That I was arranged to go pick them up. So they came into my center, and they ended up all getting adopted. They never went back into the bureau. But 6 weeks after I had picked them up and brought them to my center, Tampa came over to do a newspaper article. And I'm going to tell you that that story is pretty incredible because I didn't say anything. I was going through, we didn't know what I had. I'd been going from February, and this is like in September. Uh, Maybe cancer. I'm going through all these different doctors on my throat, and I hadn't gotten diagnosed yet. We're still doing scans and stuff. So I picked up the horses at the, might have been right around October. First week of October is when I actually picked them up and I brought them in. And 6 weeks later, the newspaper came out to do an article. It was a week prior to me doing surgery. So I mentioned that I was having a yard sale and I was going in for surgery and I didn't know. And I had lost my job that month of, it was November now. That's when all the foreclosures were in '07. Everybody was losing their businesses. And I was bartending at a daytime bartending, like a outside place, and they got closed down. So my last day was October. November, I had no job. I'm single mom. I have about 13 horses at that time at my center at the rescue. And I was going to have this yard sale so that I could make some money. And believe it or not, that article come out on the Sunday of my yard sale.
Perfect.
And people started calling me. I needed $1,500 to carry me for that month. And isn't that crazy? Look at the prices of stuff today. But in '07,
Hmm.
I just needed 1,500 to feed, house payment, electric, phone, all that. And so two women drove up at the end of that day on Sunday, and I'd only made $600, and I spent $200 on horse feed, so I only had $400. And they came up, they seen the place, they brought me the newspaper article, and both of the women gave me a check, and it ended up being 1,500 from them, 1,500. I couldn't believe it. And
Beautiful.
Lisa, uh, still to this day, sponsors my horses. So she never stopped sponsoring us. And so since '07, we're 2025, Lisa has always given donations to help out with the horses. And she adopted two that are kind of sponsored here.
Mm.
So she always sends a donation for two of the horses that are here that are her favorite. One is Hope and one is Isabel. So when it was said and done, when I got out of the hospital, I did have papillary cancer. I had it in my lymph glands, my thyroid. I was in there for a week. My dad kept telling me, checks are coming in, checks are coming in. You got envelopes and cards and all this. It was $7,500 given that carried us. And it carried us until April for the horses. So wasn't that a blessing? The horses brought in the funds. But what we had done in that 6 weeks proved that the horses were healthy and looked great from what they looked like when I picked them up.
It's so wonderful. Exactly. The horses brought in the money.
They did.
They
They
totally
helped me when
did.
it
Yeah, it's
uh,
so
because
cool.
I didn't go to work until December 31st. I went to another bar bartending, and but the horses carried me, which isn't that incredible?
It's so
So
incredible.
when the chips are down for people, when things aren't always easy when you're doing things in life. It doesn't just come to you. And I really stayed devoted to those animals, even when things didn't look good. I just did alfalfa cubes instead of alfalfa hay. You just stretched it. You just made it work. And the animals still thrived and looked great. So I continued and continued with it, never looked back.
That's awesome. So yeah, you definitely have a journey here, and it's obviously working. So you're a nonprofit. You sponsor. You have people sponsor horses, um, as well as volunteer there, and you have events. But so you have how many horses, and how many are wild at heart? Meaning they're never going
Well,
to be
we
adopted.
have we have about 48 horses here right now. And wild at heart, I have probably 12, 15 that you're probably not going to totally rehab. I have quite a few older horses that you're never rehabbing. They're 27, 32, 19, 22. But out of the other horses that we have here, we have some beautiful riding Mustangs. Some of these horses I've had, Tatanka, I've had since he was a year and a half. He's 23. He's still here.
Nice.
Beautiful riding horse, Coyote, Smoochie. We have new horses up and coming that are riding horses. The difference that I see in the Mustang, it's really been a sad journey for them. They're incredible horses. And back when the bill was passed in 71, and I saw my first Mustang in 75, they used to get rounded up right from the range, like 6 weeks. They'd catch them and then they'd ship them out throughout United States and people would get them. The horses were still curious in humans. They also weren't taking babies back then. You get like 2, 3 year olds, you get 6 year olds, you get, a variety of ages, but you weren't getting winglings, 1 year olds, or anything like that. So to me, the horse, once he's 2 or 3 years old, he's ready for an adventure because in the herd, in their natural environment, the mom will stop nursing it. The colts might get kicked out by the time they're 2 years old to go join a bachelor herd. So they're ready, for an adventure. But the babies really need their moms to teach them stuff and the herd to teach them stuff. So in 2004, Senator Burns' bill, and I can't believe it's never been reversed, that bill talked about rounding up mass roundups. That's when they started doing long and short term holding and removing the horses by mass amounts off the ranges and stockpiling them. Okay, prior to that, we didn't stockpile them. So by these massive roundups, when they round up, say, an area of 500, 700 horses in a herd management area, they round everybody up, they scramble them up, and they let loose what they want loose. They take all the babies and they take stuff that's older off the range, which makes no sense at all. They're ruining the herd dynamics. Okay. Herds actually can stay together for years. Stallions are mostly seniors that run them. But when you round up and take the seniors off, you're giving those bachelors opportunity now to breed and breed and breed and breed because they're younger horses. So if the Bureau would round them up differently, like in trap catch situations, and worked with these people that actually studied them out there and let the lead stallion and his lead mare and let them keep their babies, let them keep their winglings with them because they're not going to breed so quickly to reproduce babies because they have their babies. Let them raise them. Mass roundups only cause more births, and I'm not in agreement with the birth control. That's not the
Yeah,
answer. Studying,
Karen's
yeah,
actually said that it's creating infertility, and we're going to eventually have
yeah.
no free roaming
It's not
Mustangs.
right. It's
This is
not fixing it. Okay, Hey, these aren't a bunch of teenage girls that we need to give them birth
Mhm.
control. I mean, that's just ridiculous. People put human ideas on animals, okay? There are herds that never get rounded up because they don't have to, because
Yeah.
people aren't interfering with them constantly.
Yep.
They're a species like any other species. When the seasons are good, they know the seasons are going to be good. When it's not going to be good, they know that. Horses, just like deer and other animals, are aware of their surroundings and their environment. There was a study on mountain lions for 10 years in an area. And what they realized with that 10-year study of the mountain lions is that the herd of horses was never rounded up in that area because there was a healthy predator ratio, and the sick and the old or the young would be taken by the cats.
Mm.
And so they could thrive out there. The stallions are very active with teaching their young. And I just wish that there would be changes. Marianne, I knew about Marianne Simmons way back in, I don't know, probably I don't know, the 90s.
Mm.
I started hearing about her studying the Keigers and doing stuff like that. And then I got to meet Marianne, which I just adore her. She's wonderful. And she actually helped me to really see that idea of the herds and how they're social and how they shouldn't be rounded up in massive. 2002, Temple Grandin wrote a beautiful article to the BLM about slowing down their roundup process by bringing the horses in at a walk and a trot instead of a gallop. And you had less injuries, you had less fear instilled in them. But the bottom line is money, unfortunately. When the
Yeah.
helicopter people
Oh,
go there to round up,
it's so tragic,
it,
and you've covered a lot of points here. I just gonna stop you here because there's so many really important points you just made, and yeah, we both definitely were talking because of Marianne. But yeah, the practices have been very harmful for the herd dynamics. I also interviewed Barbara Wheeler, a photographer, also thanks to Marianne, and she said the same thing by removing these senior stallions. You've put such stress, and so the bachelors are just not equipped. But the Mustang itself, I have to just start out a little more questions about the Mustangs because you have such a understanding of them. They have such this. I've met a few, but they have such a they're so adaptable and resilient compared to it seems to other horses. And I wanted to just ask if you like and they're also they're we know they're basically from the Spanish, most of them, right? They've been
Mhm.
the Spanish, but they have a history now with what probably the thoroughbreds and the
Well, you do
Appaloosas.
realize the thoroughbred came from the Mustang, just to
Oh,
let you know.
okay. So I thought they were actually
Well,
from
no,
Europe.
I'm sorry, the quarter horse.
The
You
quarter
brought the
horse, yeah. The
thoroughbred.
thoroughbreds
Yeah,
came
you
from
brought the
Europe. Yeah,
thoroughbred. Yep, you brought the thoroughbred and you mixed them with the Mustang and you made the quarter horse.
yeah.
There's not a whole lot of thoroughbred in the breeds of the Mustangs. You know what? There's a lot of saddlebreds, standardbreds, because standardbred was used in the military.
Hmm,
There's also a lot of draft horses that are mixed in with it
interesting.
because you've got to realize when the West was being settled,
Yeah.
when we started cutting across in the really the 1700s, they started crossing America. Lewis and Clark went across and mapped it in the 1800s. You brought wagon horses. So you had, your Belgiums for pulling logs up in Idaho and stuff. You had uh, Frisians for the fancy people that came. You had all these different breeds of horses. After World War One, the military turned loose their horses into the wild herds because
If
back in the
if they didn't destroy them,
1920s,
they
right, they were
destroyed
starting to destroy,
like
yes,
millions of them, but they turned them loose. Some of them.
because there was such an outcry from the people. I think a group of army guys went AWOL with a group of horses, and
Love it.
that was brought attention. So you have Morgans and Standardbreds are some of the breeds that they used, and of course draft horses and that, and they got turned out to the herds. The herd up in Wyoming, it's called the Salt Wells Sweetwater Herd Management Area. It's in that checkerboard that they're fixing to zero out. They have standardbred in them, and that's where some of the military horses went into Wyoming. The Morgans went into Nevada and the thoroughbreds went into California. So they had put different what they used into these different herds. And matter of fact, a lady that adopted from me just did DNA on one of the Mustangs, who's a Salt Wells, and standard bred was the number one thing that's in him.
No kidding.
And then he also had the curly, which curlies are up in that area, and he also had two Spanish bloods in there, like from South America, the
Incredible.
Creole
Yeah.
and something else.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. They're an amazing mutt. They have
They're a
so many
mutt.
different
So
stuff in them.
they represent the melting pot of America. So I have to ask
They
you,
are.
I have to ask
Yeah,
you,
they are. They're
so what is it? Why is it so important that we keep these animals, these majestic beings?
well, a couple reasons.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is that the horse originated in North America. And you can say all day long, oh, well, they were all gone, so they don't belong here. That is not
So you're
necessarily
talking,
true.
you're
And
talking,
how do you,
you're talking about
yeah,
5,000 years ago now, right?
10,000 years
10,
or
5,
whenever the
yeah,
horse, yeah, they
yep.
crossed over the Bering Straits. You know, the Nez Perce Indians were trading with China. That's how China got the Appaloosa. They didn't have horses over in the other countries until they came over the Bering Straits when that landmass was connected from Alaska to Russia. And they traded horses. So the horses migrated also through there, right? And then they spread out through uh, Europe and Africa and Saudi Arabia and all throughout. And then the horses came back in the late 1500s, 1600s with the Spaniards who came over into the southern area of America first.
The
But the
conquistadors, of course. Yeah.
Yep,
Well,
and then
they
they
had a
came up
big
from,
mission. Yeah.
Mexico and South
Yeah.
America, and they reintroduced the horses to the plains and to the eastern, which I do agree the horses had disappeared, whether they had been hunted, whether, climate changes had happened, but the horses were not there. Although in Native American culture, they say the horse never left in the northern area, like say Oregon, Washington, Canada, up into that area. When Lewis and Clark mapped through and they stayed with the Nez Perce for a winter because they didn't realize the Sierra Mountains, I guess it is up there. I don't know what mountain range is in Washington and Oregon, but they stayed with them for that winter and they learned about the castration that the Indians had been doing, Native American people had been doing for years and years on creating the Appaloosa. So that's where the Appaloosa breed was created, was there. And after all the Wounded Knee was the last warrior fight of our Native American people.
Well, wait.
They killed,
The Comanches weren't down in the plains, no?
no, I
Uh,
think it was Wounded Knee up in the,
I
was
think I got it.
Chief Joseph.
My favorite
I
book,
don't
one of my
know.
favorite book is the Empire of the Sun Moon about the Comanches. They were the last.
And they were the last one. Well,
Yeah.
at Wounded Knee was Nez Perce
Yep.
Indians,
Yep. They were,
Chief
and they were
Joseph.
fierce. They were totally one of the fiercest.
And that's who had the Appaloosa.
Yep.
And they slaughtered almost all their horses. By 1936, there was only like 18 Appaloosas left
Yeah.
due to wiping them out.
It's incredible. I had a good fortune of meeting an Appaloosa here in New England. But yeah, they're another like just hardy,
Oh,
real
absolutely.
sure, a real resilient. So this is the
Mhm.
so two reasons why should we keep these? Why should these horses be
Okay,
part of?
so they belong to North America, first off. So they have a right to be out there like the uh, wolf has a right, the elk, the moose, the bison, they all have North American animals. So we should have herds that are never rounded up, left to be wild. Then the next thing is they're amazing horses. Our border patrol here in North America is mostly all Mustang. They have gone to Mustang horses because they're hardy. They know their environment. They are able to adapt to the going up and down the mountains, especially if you adopt horses from mountain regions. Um, they are I'd almost say that they're healthier, but depending on what the Bureau on this rounding up that they've been doing has actually caused issues. I have a horse right now that could have gone into being a police horse. He passed everything with flying colors. He's 7 years old, 15 two hands from Adobe. Town, Wyoming.
A little small for a police horse, though, isn't that?
No, 15.2 is pretty good. They
Okay.
can't be much less than that. They want them 15.2 to up
Is
to
that okay?
16 hands.
Just yeah,
So
the ones I've
15.2
seen.
is a
Yeah.
good
Okay. Go
or
ahead.
is a decent size. So that horse passed everything with flying colors except for x-ray of his foot. He had some bone spurs. So maybe at the time of his roundup as a colt, he could have just overdid something damaged. And here now at 7 years old, he's not lame and he doesn't have a problem, but maybe in future he will.
Mm.
So he can't work on pavement for the next 10 years as a police horse.
That'd be cool. I don't think.
So,
Yeah, I've never seen a Mustang as a police horse. That'd be
oh
very.
no,
Yeah.
they make them all the time. I
Yeah.
talked to Hutchinson Prison.
Yeah.
They're a Bureau of Land Management training prison, and they just did 5 for the Chicago
Wow.
Mounted. They did another 5 for Native American tribe police. They do the color guard horses for our military. They have a Palomino and a black color guard. They also do some for the caissons
Mhm.
up at Arlington Cemetery. So they make a lot of trained
Cool.
horses
Well, they are.
for these organizations.
They are definitely, like we keep saying, the most adaptable horse probably out there, and how and intelligent. So I have to start asking about some of the ones you've worked with, including so more into your organization. Do you keep tabs on all the horses that get rehomed?
We hopefully do. People stay in touch with us. They sign an adoption agreement so that the horse always can come back to our rescue. We don't want them. Matter of fact, I'm signing a paper right now. I've got 2 that are getting signed over to a rescue up in Maryland. They're actually gypsies. They're not Mustangs, and they have really bad uh, legs. They get their the feathers get infections in there. And Florida is a harsh environment for that
Mm.
because it's so hot, so muggy. So the horses went up to Tennessee, but they're still having issues. So they're going up to Maryland. And I'm signing a release to let them go. But normally they can come back into me. I have horses in Germany, France, Canada,
No
throughout
way.
United
Wow.
States. People
Thanks.
send me pictures and updates all the
Yeah.
time. I'm very, I would say 99% of my horses are still where they're supposed to be.
That's awesome.
I went to court over one time because the lady gave it away to somebody else and didn't go through me. And so, I mean, there are times I've taken horses back. They're not allowed to neglect our horses. They're not allowed to um, not care for them properly. So I have gone and taken horses back as well, which is signed in our agreement that states that as well.
I think we agree with this is still whatever this is way better than the BLM holding areas, right? I mean, to rehome a
Well,
horse.
the Bureau only keeps tabs up to that until they're titled. And then once they're titled, there's no safety net for them.
But tell me
And
if
that's
I'm
why
tell me if I'm wrong.
right now,
Sorry. tell,
that
tell me if I'm wrong. There's 63,000 horses right now in the BLM holding area. Is that correct?
somewhere like that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have no idea. I
and
wish they would do a real number counting, but
I
who
know.
knows?
And so
Because
that's and we don't know what's the future of those horses right now. So you're doing an incredible service. This is
yeah.
very important. So the other question I have then is, do you know how many horses you've rehomed?
Oh, I would have to look. I've been doing this since 2000 is when I started as a private rescue. Prior to that, I was mentoring and helping people with their horses. And then from 2000 to 2005, I went and traveled with a group called the Wild Horse Mentors. Willis Lamb out of Least Resistant Training Concepts out of Nevada. Him and the Bureau of Land Management did these incredible workshops. And then Jill Starr out at Lifesavers did boot camp. And I was up in Maine at a Happily Ever After Mustang. And I was Kansas, Oregon, Utah, uh, California a bunch of times, Texas, all over with
Jeez.
wild horse
Yeah.
enthusiasts. At 2000 is when everybody kind of got computers because prior to 2000 we didn't have the internet like we do now. So in 2000 when I got my first computer, I started seeing that there was all these wild horse groups, and then I started joining up, and I was part of that. I loved it. You learned a lot about working with these horses from people all over the United States. So I would love to see right now the Bureau of Land Management's program just ended that $1,000 incentive program, which was a nightmare, which was a failure. So I am so happy that they got rid of that. What I would like to see is that they invest that money into, I'd like to see more prison training programs. I'd like to see real training facilities, not the Mustang makeover, which that ended with the Bureau as well. And I'm glad to see that ended. And the tip program, because a lot of those programs were money incentive and not caring on the animal.
Yeah.
The tip program, you were supposed to have the horse 3 months for $1,000. Most people were flipping the horse between 2 weeks and 1 month. That's not enough time to build a good gentling on a horse. Breaking these horses is not the way. Gentling. I've always felt it takes 6 months to 2 years to really get a horse really gentle from the wild. So 3 months is not enough time
Mm.
to make them into a gentle horse.
It's you have a real role here. But I have to just backtrack here. So can we just do a rough math? Your organization, you've been doing this, since 2000, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
25 years.
25
Yep.
years. So how many horses per year do you think you rehome?
Well, I place about 30 horses a year as far as adopting out.
Yeah, so over
Some years
600.
are
Yeah.
more.
600 horses
And
who've helped rehome to really nice
yep,
places, and that's
I should count all my horses. And
nice.
then
It's
I've
huge.
also taken horses to the Black Hills Sanctuary. You talked about Karen's place. I've never been there, but the Black Hills, Dayton Heights place, 5 times I've brought horses. Jill Starr's place, Lifesavers, and a couple private sanctuaries in Georgia. And Return to Freedom as well. That's Netta DeMays out in California.
Oh yeah.
So I've always wanted to make a sanctuary here on the East Coast. I tried very hard to try to get land for that. I tried for 600 acres and then 300 acres because honestly, I would love to get some of these groups of horses that are being rounded up and give them a true freedom to live out their days, because it's hard on them to be in the confinements. When they put them in the holding pens, you can see that their life is gone from their eyes.
Mm.
I have a gelding back here, the one that's doing the music therapy.
Oh yeah.
Sent you the pictures of
Oh,
him
oh yeah, yeah. I love that.
having
Thank
music
you.
therapy.
Oh, I got to ask you some
Yes.
questions about that, by the way. So yeah, please.
So Zuni has had osteopath, cranial, he
Yeah.
has energy work, Reiki, and music. So we do a lot of holistic stuff here as well for healing. Because I'm going to tell you, emotional trauma, and we're in the month of May for mental health. Animals, horses get post-traumatic stress disorder as well. And I had a clinic back in 2001 with Ramona Sierra from Sierra Earthworks in Utah, Salt Lake City. Ramona is Native American, but she is a uh, what is the title? Clinical social
Mm.
worker, where you work with brain injuries,
Okay.
whether physical or emotional. And I did a clinic in 2001 called the Nonverbal Communication Through the Field of Mustangs. It was an incredible clinic with Upledgers Institute, which is out of Palm Beach. And we had people come in from all over the United States, and we did this 2-day clinic. And that really set me on the path since 2001 on this healing path. Well, when you look at a horse's chest, and I still can walk you through my stable and show you, when you see a Mustang's chest super concaved in, like you can almost put your fingers in between the breast of the horse, right? That is emotional trauma
Mm.
in the heart chakra.
Mm.
Also, a lot of times you'll look at the horse and he's standing, one side of the breast is sucked up and the other side is not. Um, if you look at horses that have that, and even in your regular horse, start evaluating, you'll see that they're protecting their heart chakra.
Mm.
So you have to do stuff like osteopath,
Mm.
cranial. You have to release those emotions that are captured in the moment something happened. It captured it like a little lightning bug. You just grabbed it and you held on to it. And those emotions are in the fiber of that horse. As he releases, his chest will get plumper and sometimes he'll even sweat out. So Zuni's chest is coming out a little bit from what it was when he first started. So it is helping him. He is showing changes in him. Now, granted, he's been here a while and his stall's got all sorts of stuff in it to help him
Hmm.
adjust. What a sweet soul that he is.
So tell me more about the
And
music. I have to hear more about the music there. So you had a drummer, it looked like,
yep, we have
and
a lady, Liz, that
and
is
so
a sound therapist.
so what
So
is
she's,
are people invited as well to come and join, or is it just
well,
with the horses?
she's just doing with the horses
Okay,
right now.
all right.
So she just got certified last year. She was always a Reiki master and she came down and did Reiki and that. And then she took about a year of doing this music journey that she became certified to do that. She does it. I'm here in the villages. So I'm in the villages, which is Sumter County for the retirement community we have. And so she has like 50 people that attend her class weekly to learn about the drumming and the
Yeah.
healing and release. So she comes down and volunteers and is playing with Zuni, particularly, as who she's working with. She's wanting to host some workshops here.
Oh, I
So
totally
having
want to talk to
people,
her. I want to talk to her after we talk, finish this
oh,
conversation. Okay, thank you.
so she's wanting to do some workshops here and have people, we can have them sit in all 8 pens back there and they could do the tuning forks or they could do the drumming. I just sold my panda drum. I bought one of
Oh,
them because
I
I
love
thought,
those.
well,
Yeah,
I would do that,
yeah.
but it's too high pitched.
I was
It's
wondering
kind of
that.
like,
I was wondering. I haven't bought
yeah,
one yet. I said I'm using the tuning forks and drums and crystal singing bowls, which also
well,
have been very fun. But yeah, I was
so,
wondering, and I was wondering how her technique of drumming, if she's learned a way that would be a little bit more
well, you'll have to talk to her. She's very
okay.
subtle and it's a very low thump.
That's
You
what
know,
Janet.
it's not like drumming like
That's what
you're,
Janet Marlowe, that Marianne connected me with, who's the inventor of pet acoustics, said that
okay.
she learned that it's more of a softer and short melodies for the
Yep.
horses that they
Yep.
prefer. So,
So the panda's got to it's too much.
mm,
The panda
yeah,
is so I just thank goodness one of my volunteers always wanted one, so she bought it from me.
good job.
So I'm gonna buy one of the buffalo, it's called buffalo drum. It's a drum that she uses. So Liz uses, so I'm going to get the same kind, which is a lower sound.
Mm,
I have two Native American drums that are made of elk, but they are a higher pitch. So I
mm.
guess they come in their sounds as well as flutes and everything else has a keyed into a
Yep,
sound. So
yep.
so are the drums.
Yep, same with the crystal
So
bowls and same with the tuning fork. So yeah, I use a lot of silence in between so they can absorb it.
right.
But this is so
Yep.
cool. So you're not only doing this, so you're doing a lot of cool things on the ranch or center, excuse me,
Yeah.
Wild Horse Rescue Center. You have Reiki, you have yoga. I saw yoga day and
Yeah.
animal communication, and then you just had this wild horses, wild women, and wine. How'd that go? Tell me what was that
Oh,
like?
we have a wonderful event with that. When I moved here in 2019, I came up with that event. I said, "Oh my God, we're here in the villages. We've got to do Wild Horses, Wild Women, and Wine." And so it's a very successful event. It's only done once a month. We don't do it for the summer. One is the flies, like right now, the flies are everywhere. And plus the heat and plus the rainstorms. I can't guarantee we won't have an afternoon rainstorm. So we do them from November to May, and we do it the first Saturday of the month, and it's from 4 to 7 o'clock. And we have anywhere from a dozen to 60 people. It just depends. In the winter months, like in January, February, March, and April, I always have more people. May, I had 18 people because a lot of your snowbirds have gone back
Oh
home.
yeah, yeah, okay.
So.
Yeah, that's
But
so
we put
cool
out
though. Yeah,
food.
yeah.
We have wine and food, and then we sit out here where I'm sitting right now. We have all these tables. We put fake
Wow.
flowers out and cushions, and then we have carrots, and we go and walk and talk about all the horses. I have a wireless mic. We go meet and greet them personally. My barn can hold 8 horses in the stalls, and I can hold 8 in the back, so we have 16 there. Plus, I have the pony pen and we have sheep and a goats and miniature donkeys and miniature horse
Nice.
in a pen so people can pet them and see them. And then we have Mustangs out back, Mustangs over there, Mustangs over there. So we have all sorts of animals. And then we have dogs. We have wonderful
Mm.
dogs. I've had dogs all my life. We have 20 dogs here at the rescue. I have about 8 dogs for adoption. So I have 12 dogs that are ranch dogs. And I have 2 that are sitting here by me right this minute.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Good job. And so, how much? Like, is there like? Do you have a standard? Like, how much does it cost to adopt? Does it depend?
that can vary. Some of our horses, I'm 63, so I don't saddle train. I can get the horse gentled and ready, but I'm not putting the first 90 days riding on that horse. So I do send horses out. If I send horses out, then I have to recoup some of that money back in. So my adoption fees can be like $500 up to $3,500. So just depending on what we're doing with the horse. Like the horse that was going to the police, I invested 2,000 into his training and his teeth getting done for the month for the police to evaluate him, the deputies, but then his x-rays didn't show clean. So the lesson learned on that is do x-rays before you do all
Yeah.
the
Oh
other
boy. Oh
stuff.
wow.
So I learned a lesson on that. If I ever come across another Mustang, and the reason I really wanted my deputies have one, I do a reading program with my deputies
What do you
called
mean?
Wild Horse Tales.
Oh, you mean like a reading
So
a book?
yeah, we
Oh
sell
yeah.
books. The
Yeah. Okay.
Rotary Club
Yeah.
purchases books for first grade. The kids are so
Oh
adorable.
come on.
And so then in the month of February, over at the deputy stable, we have the school groups are bus there and have a lunch and come in and they have learning stations. And I have a pony that we bring each time. I've been doing this since 2015, and the kids get to pet him because it's eye level for
Yeah.
first graders.
Yeah.
And his name now for the book we're doing Robert the Rose Horse, which is by Dr. Seuss.
Oh
So
good.
his name is Robert. I just found a ring of roses that I'm going to put on him. I just found one yesterday that I'm going
Sweet.
to make sure he wears his roses. I have a school group coming out on Friday of next week.
Yeah.
And that's a preschool group, so they're only 4 years old. So we'll set that up. The pony will be there. We'll read the book, and he'll have his roses around his neck, and they'll
Oh,
meet Robert,
beautiful. I
the
mean,
rose
it's
horse.
so
So,
cool. You're doing so good. You're doing so many good stuff right now. This is a good job. Hey, so I also have to ask because you're a nonprofit. You take
Mhm,
donations. People can sponsor horses. And then you have these events, community events, but
mhm,
you rely on volunteers, and
I do.
I saw on your website because you are an international organization, you have
Right.
volunteers from at least 27 different countries coming to
Mhm.
visit you.
Yep.
That's so you've got a very global audience. Um,
And it's amazing. Let me tell you, Cam, people come from all over the world and they just want to love animals. It doesn't matter what country you're from. We're all alike. And I have a lady coming from South Korea. That'll be the first in that travel. They just opened up last year to travel companies in South Korea. Now, I've had South Korean people as well as Chinese from colleges on a break, like at Christmas time or Easter time. They would come to the center because they didn't want to fly home, and they'd come for 2 or 3 weeks. So I have had people from those countries, but this will be our first travel company in South Korea. The Netherlands, I have people. I just had somebody here from France. I had Australia, New Zealand. They come from all over. It's incredible. I have met some really great people all over this world. I was just talking to a dear friend in Africa, and he asked me, "Why don't you come visit?" He's actually a veterinarian. We had three veterinarians come, and this is before I was international.
Mm.
This was back in 2011. And I had Marianne actually come up and do a body language class
Oh,
with them. She
cool.
volunteered her time and she
Whoa.
drove up and she worked on body language and showing them because they were all three vets. Two were from Haiti and one was from Africa. And they worked a lot of abuse, a lot of donkeys and things like that. And they were very minimal on their what they have, financially to take care of these animals. They're from very poor communities. So Marianne did a free class. I had Wes Mailer, who's a cranial sacral for humans, dogs, horses as well. He came out and did one day, and they got to learn about healing touch. And then I had my vet, Dr. Seiler, come out, and we showed them how to put animals into squeeze systems with panels and how to work with them, halter them. Doc talked to them about the drug combinations that you could use to keep them standing, or if they lay down to get up and stand without stumbling. So we had three wonderful classes. They came for 5 days, back and forth to my center, and I was able to give them a ton of medical supplies that had been donated to us from actually from the army. It was stuff that was no longer needed, and bandages and suture kits and things that was still all packaged and new. And I sent that with them so that they could have those supplies. But it's amazing
It
to stay in
is.
touch with people all over the
Yeah.
world.
What a
It's wonderful,
gift.
actually.
I've talked to many of my friends, and that's wealth. I mean, the money stuff comes and goes, and I've had money and I don't have money. That doesn't last. But this is
Yeah.
the wealth that lasts. Good job. You're a wealthy person. So as we're kind of wrapping up, I mean, you've said a couple things I picked out, but do you have what would be kind of your wish to send out for people to like for not only the horse and the Mustangs, but
Well,
for
I
your
would
your
really
yeah, go ahead.
hope that I can continue doing what I'm doing. Prices are skyrocketing, hay, feed, things like that, veterinarian care, everything. Um, I would love to expand to have more land to have these animals. I have 42 acres, so I have a small center. When you're talking about a lot of other areas that have thousands of acres. I would love to have a true sanctuary here in Florida so that people could walk amongst them. These horses are extremely intuitive to humans. A lot of people call it spiritual. They connect with people. I have testimonies from people that have come here, which you didn't know were battling depression. You don't always can tell, and they gave me testimonials about how it healed them here. This center, these horses and animals, let them know that they were going to be all right. So your Mustang makes a phenomenal therapy horse. And he doesn't have to be a horse used by Path or Egala in a program. I'm talking just being in his presence with him.
It's so simple. I
It's
totally agree with you. You don't need all this. It's just
mm-mm.
being or taking the time to be present. And then also having
Yes.
horses that have trauma are very good with people that are struggling with trauma, right?
Yes, they
Yeah.
actually want to heal you back. When we did that clinic in 2001 with Ramona Sierra, we were doing a thing called play therapy. We had a play therapist from the Flower in Tallahassee. Ellie came down, and Ellie was acting like a horse to the horse. So the horse was in the round pen, Wyoming, and Ellie would like make a horse noise and look away and act like she's grazing, and then she'd look at the horse, and she was sending the color, I believe, she was either sending yellow or green to the horse, and then she'd look away, and the horse, every time she looked away, the horse would do its head like this and bring its nose up. And I said to Ramona, I said, why is Wyoming doing that? Every time Ellie looks away, she says Wyoming is healing her.
Mhm.
So then when Ellie came out to talk about her experience and what she was doing, she said she kept feeling yellow come back at her and she was sending green, but she was feeling a different color. And so Wyoming, as traumatized and as devastated as that horse was, she was trying to heal her by sending back a different energy.
It's so
So it was an
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
incredible,
Yeah.
incredible clinic that we
So
had.
beautiful. Yeah, you got to do more of those. I hope you are.
I do, I
Good.
do.
Good. Good.
Yes,
So people can donate and sponsor a horse directly on your website,
yes, yep.
wildhorserescuecenter.org.
And if they want to help with making projects here, they can get with us. Like right now, we have a building behind me that's supposed to be our Western Museum. And then it's going to have a giant teepee built out of stucco and wood and be a room teepee. And that's going to be Native American because the wild horses are so much of our history. Like in my education building, I have like from the 1920s forward, where horses are in lamps and statues and books and timepieces and jewelry. The wild horse's spirit was always that spirit of freedom that is caught. The TV shows, they were supposed to be wild horses in Fury, and the Long Ranger's horse was supposed to be a Mustang, even though they weren't, but the story was for
Yeah.
the movie. So we would love to have this museum about our growth of horses here in North America and also how they impacted the Native American people, the Plains people especially, with the Mustang. So we would like that. We have an education building, we have a coffee cafe, we have a gift shop upstairs. We always need sponsorship on training of horses as well as care. The care is a big thing. We probably spend about 10,000 a month just on hay.
Mm.
So you can see that just that and about another 10,000 on operational. So you're looking at, 20,000 a month on trying to maintain a place that's only 42 acres with these horses.
It is a tough battle like everywhere right now with the
It is.
prices. It's so great. So I
It is.
encourage everybody to kind of continue to donate to you. And then who would be, I mean, who would you say a good person to adopt? What would be a criteria for somebody that would?
Well, we have different, like I have senior people adopt senior horses, which is great because in that way they're not riding anymore. And a lot of my senior horses aren't riding either. So, but it still gives people, I got to say, people never fall out of love with horses. If you have a love for horses, I don't care if you're 80 years old. I have a dear friend who's 87 and she loves horses still. She just can't have them anymore. But her love for them has never left. So to have senior horses for senior people, I like for my horses that are learning to ride and that to be with people that have knowledge because it's really hard to send a horse that's not fully knowledgeable with somebody that doesn't have knowledge. And then you can have some really gentle older horses, but not senior yet, that are good for people that are first starting out with their first horse as a super, super gentle, kind horse that isn't going to worry about the mistakes that they're making, you know.
Yeah.
But so I match up people with the horses and I do deny people. A lot of people, might see a picture of one of our horses and go, "Oh, I want it because it's so pretty," but they don't have any knowledge or experience for that particular horse. So I'll invite them to come and I'll show them all the horses that we have available and then to see, what's going to work for them. Because it doesn't do me any good to have these horses leave out without that home being right because it's really unfair for them to go from home to home. I mean, I have dogs that come through my center through the shelters, and they might have been 4 or 5 times returned to the shelter. That's really tough on an animal.
Very.
So I don't want to adopt out. I denied 2 adoptions on the one dog because he's so wound up.
Mm.
He's not for a senior person,
Mm.
because he's just going to yank you off your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Not any fault of his. He's just a
Yep.
young, playful 4-year-old dog.
Yep.
Um, so you want to match up these animals. I love matching up. I just got the pictures and DNA of 2 of my Mustangs yesterday. So it's wonderful. The people reach out to me all the time and thank me and enjoy their animals. So
So
we're very successful with good adoption homes.
I like it. Very. I'm glad you're really making a good match. So important,
Yes.
finding good matches. I gotta as
Hmm.
we're. I want to thank you, but is that a cat's tail that I keep seeing in the camera? What is that keeps going in front of the camera?
Oh, my hand, because my phone keeps putting messages up
Oh,
on my
okay. Oh,
stuff.
okay. All
You
right.
know, like it puts the little thing over my
Oh, funny. Yeah.
over the picture. Yeah.
No,
So
you did
my
good.
phone
Your phone
is
is
the cameras are shooting me right now. They're all like, I guess something's moving. I don't know. Maybe I'm moving, but it's telling me stuff. So I keep moving it and the flies.
okay.
We
Oh,
don't have any cats out here. We
no,
have
that's what
dogs.
it was. It was flies. It was a fly that kept
Yeah.
the flies are
Yeah,
landing on
the
the camera. I was
flies
like,
are
what? I
terrible.
was totally. I was like, what's
Uh,
in front of the camera? Because I could see your hands. It was a fly that kept
yes.
landing. The flies
Oh, the
are.
flies have come out in a vengeance. We have inside the barn. George was here last week and he was just here again on Thursday. He had made up all my fly. Oh, they're so gross. They're like
Mm,
those fly
yep.
bags. You
Yep.
put water in
Oh,
there
yeah.
and they
We use
stink.
those. Yep.
Yeah, we have them here. And then I have this fly tape paper, like you roll it
Mm,
out,
mm,
and I change it like 3 or 4 times. So we're
mm.
putting a dent in our flies,
Okay.
believe it or not.
Okay.
We're already on it. We are on our fly mission. But see, we didn't have a winter this year.
Mm,
I think I had like a couple weekends that was kind of cold.
that's
Not
it.
even, I
Wow.
don't even think I dressed heavy at all
Wow.
this entire winter.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
We had winter up here, but so yeah. It's really wacky times all around, but you are doing
mhm.
good work. Keep it up, and I can't wait to visit. I am definitely going to come down.
Yes.
So
Well,
we're
come on down
going to
and visit
talk.
the Mustangs and spend time with them and see what you think of them as a breed. Like I said,
Yeah.
you can walk out in my fields. We have tons of really tame. Once they are tame, a Mustang doesn't want to be wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so the sanctuaries really should be for the ones that cannot adapt. And there are some that cannot adapt. And I wish we had more sanctuaries to take these horses in. But ones that can adapt, they love humans.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even Zuni, he watches me all the time. He nickers, he talks
Yeah.
to me. He loves it when I bring him carrots. He looks at me when he wants to come out because I let him run around the yard. And he
Nice.
just like looks at me and then he looks at the gate. He's like, "Are you getting it? Are you getting what I'm saying to you?" So they're telepathic almost, which they are telepathic, but you can almost feel what they're asking you.
The
So
ancients,
it's
the
pretty
ancients,
incredible.
the ancients all knew this, and we somehow got lost along the way. Now we're hopefully learning what the ancients knew.
Yes.
But
Oh,
yeah, we're so
animals
behind.
are
Yeah,
incredible.
we
They
have so
really
much.
are. All animals. I
We
I don't care. I have a mother chicken raising baby ducks because a tree had split in half and a duck nest fell all over the place. So I collected up the eggs and I put them in the chicken hen house, and I didn't know if anybody would sit on them. So for one day, nobody sat on them. I thought, oh man, these poor duck eggs, no one's going to sit. This little Banny hen, she sat on them. She 8 have hatched. She's got 6 more to hatch. She talks to them. They cuddle with her. It is absolutely adorable.
very cool.
So it
All right.
doesn't matter what species,
Yeah.
animals are very adapting
Yep.
and they're just honest animals. So I hate that when people use an animal as a terrible attack or thing, because animals are not like that.
No.
Animals are really compassionate, really amazing. Dogs in general will bring people up. Cats, you come home, maybe feeling blue or this or that. That animal is so incredibly happy to see you every single day. So they're a blessing to have. And I feel very blessed being a caretaker
Yeah.
of all these animals.
Awesome, Diane. Thank you. I can't wait to come talk to you in person. So let's be in touch,
All
and
right. All right.
thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Bye.
All
Talk
right.
to you later.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye bye. You too.
To learn more about Diane's organization, Wild Horse Rescue Center, you can go to her website, wildhorserescuecenter.org, or her Facebook page. They're always looking for donations, and they have really cool volunteer operations. You can go visit them down in Florida. Thank you for joining this episode on the Centaur Podcast. I'm Cameron Adibi again, and please check out my website to learn more about what I do at CameronAdibi.com. That's CameronAdibi.com. I hope you enjoyed this discussion and gained some valuable insights. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next time for more engaging conversations. Until then, take care.